2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Believe I'm live. Believe I'm live. All right. I see people. Got it. Hello, hello, hello. Let me know if you could hear me. Let me know if you could see me. Had some issues last time, but I believe you could hear me now. 1, 2, 1, 2. Holla, holla, holla for $1. Do. Hi. Joshua, Kimberly. Aftercare needed. Hi, Jordan. Let's get this started. Wow. Excitement already. I love it. Still don't believe he'll win. After last night, I gotta tell you, I think he's gonna win. I think Biden's gonna win. I can't even. We'll get into it. Let me give it a second for some more people to trickle in to the chat. I also want to send a text message so more people know that I'm live. Hold on. Farewell. I've come to see you go. I don't want to wait for our lives to be over. I want to know right now. Will it be? Hold on. 1985691. Okay. The text message is out. So, hope everybody's having an okay day. Your mic is too quiet. Hold on. Input. How's my mic now? 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 Can you hear? Can you hear? Can you hear? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Any better? Any better? Any better? Hope everybody's having an okay day. Your mic is too. Hold on. Never ends. 1 second. Preferences, audio. Let me see something. Still too quiet. Why is the audio like this? 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. How about now? How about now? How about now? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Fine, fine. All right, sounds good. Coming in clear. Wonderful. Press the like button. Got 160 of you already watching, and 94 have pressed that like button. I'm not going to be live for that long because I'm moving tomorrow, and I have a lot to do. And also, Jen is going to be live in about an hour from the West Coast. She will be interviewing a member of the Kumeyaay Nation. I'm probably mispronouncing it, so apologies. But Kumeyaay Nation is part of the Kumeyaay tribe in the San Diego area, and she will be speaking with them about their battle against Trump and his border wall that echoes of Standing Rock are literally being, the border wall is being built on top of Native Americans' sacred burial grounds that down there by the border. Was the tribe consulted with? Was the tribe notified that this was going to be happening? Of course not. So where are you moving to? Can't tell you. I'm told I can't announce where I'm moving. American Samoa. Sorry, my soon-to-be wife has me on a gag order. Can't say where I'm moving for fear of the Proud Boys coming after me. So, I will be talking about the debate from last night. Can you give me my phone, darling? I'm actually going to have Jen call in for a minute or two so she could tease her interview coming up. Hold on. I don't know if it's going to pick up too well on the microphone. We'll just have to see. Hold on.
Hello.
You're going to have to talk really loud because the microphone is shit. So Jen, tell everybody what you're doing, where you're going, and what they need to be doing.
So, yeah, I just wanted to talk to you guys really quick before I head out to do an interview on a reservation with someone who's been very, very involved in the protest down here. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, we are down in San Diego, right near the border. We actually went to the border yesterday, got pulled over by Border Patrol. So that's been quite a time here. But
Will, will
sort
you
of
be will you be explaining what happened with Border Patrol for Status Coup members in a members only video, Jen?
Absolutely. Members can hear all about us getting pulled over by Border Patrol and some quick thinking that Tina, who you guys know and love, did on the spot. She used her acting skills. So definitely go to statuscoup.com/join.
And
And
and will members be able to get exclusive video of Tina's maniac dog?
I do. I don't know if I have video. I'll take some video. She's so cute. Hypatia, adorable. And
Just so people know, Tina, obviously independent journalist, has been doing great work for Status Coup, joined Jen and brought her new puppy for this journalistic voyage. So I hear it's been great.
she's so cute. So back to the story. They're building Trump's wall. This particular portion that we are focused on here is about 14 miles long, and it's the Kumeyaay Nation. Goes, part of it is in Mexico, part of it is in the United States. So this wall is right through it, and there's a law that our government is supposed to be paying attention to, called the Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act. And so this is an act that's supposed to protect Native American graves and sacred sites, and our government is completely disregarding that, not paying attention at all, not allowing. They're supposed to have members of the tribe be able to monitor the construction of this wall and kind of active in the decisions. They're not doing that at all. And there is evidence that, in fact, the construction crews have already desecrated graves and burial sites and ceremonial sites. So there are ongoing protests at the border. It's been a little bit disbanded at the moment because police recently arrested two of the members. A crazy Trump-supporting woman came down and just started slapping Native Americans who were protesting this. So things kind of blew up a little bit. There's a similar sort of protest going on in the Arizona at that border wall as well. It just goes to show you this is what our government does. You saw it at Standing Rock, and actually the gentleman who I'm going to be interviewing very shortly, Bobby Wallace, was at Standing Rock as well. And so this is just a continuation of how our country treats Native Americans.
And I'm assuming, Jen, I mean, there's going to be a long line to get in here because obviously CNN is there, MSNBC, the New York Times, the Washington Post. They're all there covering the trampling of Native American land, sacred burial grounds. You must be fighting with a stick to be able to interview these folks.
Oh yeah, Anderson Cooper is right down here. Jake Tapper's with us. Rachel Maddow, they're all here. No, there's of course no one, and that's one of the things when you speak to people on these infield trips. People are so often grateful that we are there to cover their stories because it is going completely uncovered. This particular story about the Kumeyaay Nation really wasn't getting any mainstream attention at all. The only reason it started to go more national was because of the woman who went and started slapping the Native Americans. Then TMZ and a couple other mainstream outlets picked it up. Otherwise, they're not talking about it at all. It's really just us. So it's going to be an interesting time. We have some great footage from the wall already, which of course, again, we were not supposed to be where we were. So members, statuscoup.com/join to find out where we went down this road we were not supposed to go down and got pulled over by Border Patrol. We'll tell you the whole story.
Thank God you two are white.
Exactly. exactly. We just were on Ron Placone's show, and we brought that up. Imagine it was 3 white people in the car, and imagine if he'd been brown or black. Like, what would have happened then? Probably be in jail.
Right.
So, a lot happening on this trip. We are next going to LA, going to cover some communities devastated by wildfires, going to cover some alt-right events, ongoing protests in LA, whereas in other cities, some of the protests have died down depending on the city. But Tina's been on the ground almost every night at the LA protests, and they are very, very much still ongoing. Black Lives Matter protests.
And can I just brush your shoulder for a little bit, Jen? Virtually, because you were one of the few independent journalists at the Portland Proud Boys rally in your American garb. Really, really great work. The comments under the videos have been really great, and it's like, when things are about to break. So you went there, again, one of the few outlets. Status Coup was there. And then last night, I'm going to talk about this when we get off the phone. Trump apparently, first he mentioned the Proud Boys, but then he played dumb and basically gave a wink and a nod. Yeah, Proud Boys, stand back. He's trying to clean it up today, like he usually does. This is kind of, he's known for playing dumb and giving them a tacit approval, and then when there's mass outrage, then saying no, stand down. But talk about the fact that you, in many ways, broke this story. What I mean by broke is, you, more than most other outlets, actually, I don't want to say gave a platform to in a bad way, but actually showed the lunacy and violent tendencies, exposed the violent tendencies and the just batshit thinking of these people. I haven't seen many long-form interviews with members of the Proud Boys. So what are your thoughts now that it's a major national news story today?
Well, so going back so this was last Saturday, and I've covered Proud Boys events before, but this one was going to be bigger. It was Portland, which is a real hotbed of, Antifa protests, fighting against these fascists who come in. So it's become this kind of scary meeting place between the left and the right on both extremes. So Proud Boys were coming in. We definitely wanted to cover it, but you have to be safe about it. So I knew going in, if I just if we report from a Trump rally or something like that, we will ask specific questions. We don't mind, pulling out facts and doing the kind of reporting that we do at Status Coup. But with the Proud Boys, it's a totally different story because a lot of them are armed. They really, really hate the press. They're a completely different level of Trump supporter, of white supremacist. And in fact, right before I arrived at the Proud Boys rally, they were going around to journalists and kicking the ones out that they didn't like. And in certain cases, I think at least 2 cases, they were physically violent with the press. One gentleman was punched to the ground and kicked in the head as a journalist. So I knew that I'd have to go in a specific way so that I would be safe. So I went in just as a Trump supporter. I had an American flag kimono, and I really went in kind of playing a ditz, just kind of pretending like I didn't know much. I just getting started with this journalism thing. I just want to ask questions. And they did. They came around and were kind of vetting me and making sure that I was okay. So I really had to play a role. And in doing that, was able to get some eye-opening interviews where they say completely batshit crazy things. And I think it's so important to see these people for who they really are. So when some people might say, oh, why would you platform a Trump supporter? Why would you platform a Proud Boy? And it is so important to understand, I guess we can call them the enemy, to understand the enemy, the other side, what they're thinking, what their psychology is. So I think we got some really insightful interviews, and then, lo and behold, it becomes a huge national story with everyone talking about the Proud Boys due to Trump giving them a good old shout out.
And
So,
Jen, Mary Bishop agrees with you. She just left $100 in the
thank you, Mary.
there's something about Mary. She left $100 in the road trip fundraiser. I mean,
Wonderful.
let's keep it real, Jen. It's pricey. Tina can also share that all of this costs a lot of money. You guys are not stopping just with this coverage today. You're going to be obviously interviewing Native Americans about their battle against Trump's border wall, but like you said, then headed back up to LA to cover wildfires. Honestly, LA is like a mafia. I mean, Tina and I talk about it. It's like a mafia scene in Los Angeles with the police department there nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll probably be covering protests.
Yeah.
We should also add John is with you guys, so let's
Mm-hmm.
not leave him out. So anyway, all of this costs a lot of money. Frankly, YouTube is not being generous to us, to say the least, in terms of actually showing our channel to people. We actually somehow lost 50 subscribers yesterday, which is baffling. But anyway, that's my long-winded way of saying, hey, if you got even...
Well, when you say we lost subscribers, you're talking about YouTube. So YouTube often does bot sweeps. So if they're fake accounts, that they go ahead and get rid of them. It's
Don't
not
be a
like
YouTube apologist. They're screwing us, Jen.
No, so we want people to subscribe for sure. So definitely people are not flocking away from us by any means. It's definitely getting rid of bots. So everybody subscribe and ask your friends, family, cats, and dogs to subscribe to our channel. We're zooming on our way to 100,000 subscribers. That'll be such an exciting day because we get a special plaque from YouTube, and hopefully they will actually show our content. We're hoping that getting up to 100,000 subscribers will boost us in the algorithm.
Yes. So if everybody could pitch in, Jen's going to be going live right after me. She's on her way, driving down to really the border area between California and Mexico, where Trump is building his giant, beautiful wall right on top of Native American burial grounds. So I look forward to that. Definitely pitch in if you can. I'm putting the link in statuscoup.com/West Coast. Even better than that, if you could become a member, that's how we go for the future, for the long term. So that's statuscoup.com/join. Anything I'm missing, Jen?
Well, I just want to point out that on the statuscoup.com/West Coast, I just added a bunch of photos from yesterday that I took at the border wall. So definitely check that out. It's interesting. The wall. This is the first time I've seen the wall. In person. It looks different than I thought it would for sure, and it's certainly in this particular area, very secluded, like strange, kind of creepy area. Getting back in there. So check out my blog updates, the reporting updates, statuscoup.com/West Coast, and please, if you can, help support this trip. Any amount helps, hotels and flights and everything else. It really, really adds up. But we believe strongly in this reporting. As we kind of joked about earlier, mainstream media is certainly not here. And this story and all of the stories we're covering are so, so important. So we couldn't do this without you. So thank you so much.
I'm actually showing the audience right now the images. So we're looking at the keep building the wall placard or whatever the hell that is down by the wall. There you have the ripped American flag. It should be.
Yeah, I thought that was very symbolic.
It should be upside down considering the state of this country. There you got the "Do Not Enter" sign from Border Patrol, and Trump's wall. What a grisly sight! Even the best image. There's Tina's puppy. That's a big old puppy, let me tell you.
Enormous.
Yeah, so definitely check out the page. There's other stuff from the protest Jen has been covering, Proud Boys, all of that stuff. And Jen will be live right after me, so don't go anywhere. After I'm live, she'll be back interviewing a member of the Kumeyaay Nation about their battle with Trump's border wall. And I actually think it's important because I could tell you, I mean, the story is important, period, Jen, but I could tell you when I first went down to Standing Rock, it wasn't a story. I mean,
Right.
it wasn't trending. There was barely anyone there, journalists wise. And it takes that first journalist or that first outlet to go down there and start a little bit of coverage for it to get some attention. Obviously, it would be tough now for that kind of story to break through because everyone's focused on the shit show they saw last night. Everyone's focused on the presidential election, the pandemic, but that's why we exist, to cover things that no one else is covering. So I appreciate your hard work, Tina too, John, and we'll see you live in a little bit.
Yeah, and definitely everyone text COUP to 370-370 so you get a text alert when we do go live. I've got to scope out. We're going to an area of a reservation here, so I've got to scope it out and see exactly what's going on. But definitely text COUP to 370-370, and you will be the first to know as soon as we are live.
All right. I'll talk to you in a bit.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. So I will do a direct into the camera request. Please go to statuscoup.com/West Coast and contribute if you can. Obviously, everybody's getting a gazillion emails a day, contribute here, contribute there. I think real independent journalism is worth contributing to if you can. If you can't, we totally understand. So, moving forward, last night, and I'm actually not going to show any of the clips because I think we all have some collective PTSD and I don't really need to show the clips. I'm not huge on making, if you've been watching me for a while, I'm not big on making declarative predictions on who's going to win elections because A, most people don't know what they're talking about, B, anything could happen, and C, I just think, it's not journalist's role to play predictor. With that said, and please press the like button too. We got 360 people watching, 250 likes. So we need another 100 likes. Thank you, Kelly. Just donated $20. Appreciate it. Also, this is a super chat. So whatever floats your boat, super chat, the road trip fundraiser, it all makes a big difference to keeping us out on the road. But I will tell you from watching it, we're going to get to the Proud Boys thing and all that. To me, it looked like Donald Trump knows that he's going to lose the election. And to me, and I haven't really heard this take, but I think there's a point, I think there's some legitimacy to it. I think Donald Trump knew that if he went absolutely scorched earth on Joe Biden to the point where women and suburban moms would be offended because that's the group that he needs to start winning back, to the point where even some of his supporters might be like, oh, this is a little much, to the point where it just looked like he's a lunatic. He knew that if he did that, he could also reel Joe Biden in to show some anger, show some frustration, tell him to shut up, and call him names. I really think what Donald Trump was trying to do last night was an attempt to depress voter turnout. What I mean by that is for the, let's say, 7 to 10% of undecided voters, independent voters, non-voters who generally don't vote but maybe were watching, to look at it and be like, oh my God, these are the two choices we have? Screw it. I'm going back to Real Housewives or fantasy football. I'm not voting. I truly, truly believe Donald Trump was trying to basically make the voting public so disgusted with the choices, this race to the bottom that we had in front of us. And I don't want to do whataboutism. Listen, I don't like Joe Biden, but let's be clear. Donald Trump was the major lunatic on stage yesterday. I mean, I tweeted on the sociopath radar, radar, he was already a 9 out of 10. He went straight to a 15. I mean, I got plenty to say on Joe Biden's performance, which I don't think was that good. He basically told progressives over and over, screw you. You know, in one breath, the Green New Deal would be the most effective thing. On the other breath, I don't support it. Saying, no, I'm not providing health care. You know, we want people to keep their private health care. Saying, I am the Democratic Party, like declaring himself like Al Capone. So it's not like I think Biden had like a wonderful performance. And frankly, he told you who he is, a Republican from the 1990s. But he is the luckiest son of a gun, because he's running against this clown. And I'm telling you, Donald Trump last night, he, to me, lost the election. And I'll tell you why. Because Trump in 2016 had an actual message, even though he was completely full of it. He had a message that resonated with a lot of people, including 10% of people who voted for Obama and then switched to Trump. So even though he was bombastic on the debate stage with Hillary Clinton, even though he was a lunatic at his rallies, even though he was saying insane nonsense, he had a message that sounded populist. He had a message that sounded like an outsider who's, you know, sifting through all the establishment crap and telling you the truth. He had a message of, you know, this guy's selling you, you know, or she's going to sell you down the river. Donald Trump last night had zero message. It was a stream of consciousness, scatterbrained, blowing coke up your nose. I mean, he went from the Biden's an arm of the socialist left to Hunter Biden. It was all just throwing as much fear-mongering and nonsense at a wall and seeing what would stick. But that's not how you win the election. That's just not how you win. And as much as I dislike Joe Biden, as much as I think there's no there, he's not offering you anything. I think the real loser is working people. I think the real loser is essential workers. I think the real loser is you and I, who have had our money stolen by the United Corporations of America for the last 40 years. That's the real loser. There was not one thing discussed about a new stimulus related to coronavirus. Not one thing discussed about potential universal basic income, Medicare for all, paid sick leave, child care during the pandemic, what Biden would actually do if elected president for immediate relief. Not one substantive thing on immediate relief, immediate economic stimulus, not a $1,200 check, real stimulus by the moderator, by Trump, or Biden. Because they're not going to do anything. Biden ain't going to do anything for you. Are you kidding me? Look at who he's surrounding himself with. Thank you, Jessica, $4.99. Trump has become a caricature of himself. But why I'm saying I think Trump lost, and I love you, Paul, but I don't think we watched two different debates if you disagree with me. You can be bombastic, you could act like a lunatic if you have a convincing message. He doesn't have a convincing message. His message of, no police are endorsing him. Oh, he's just a puppet for AOC and the Green New Deal. Oh, he's just a puppet for Bernie. He's Bernie in a mask. Nobody believes this. No independent voters believe this. I wish that were true. Nobody buys this. I was kind of surprised because I didn't hear Trump once clobber Biden over his support for NAFTA, his support for the TPP, him signing on to every terrible trade deal that sold the jobs of Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. That is how you beat Hillary Clinton, and that is how you could have still had a chance to beat Donald Trump. But it was almost like he snorted a lot of coke before the debate, and he was all over the place. It was truly remarkable. That's what makes me think that his actual intention and strategy was to make it such an animal house performance, to the point where the moderator's screaming for you to shut up, the audience is screaming for you to shut up, people watching are changing the channel because it's like, this isn't a debate, this is a circus. To the point where he would pretty much deflate and depress people to turn out. That's the only possible thing I could think of. And by the way, by me talking about Trump, I'm not saying Biden won because of anything he did. He won by default because he was basically debating somebody who was literally acting, and I don't mean this in a derogatory term, but was acting like he was in a manic state. He doesn't have a message. That's just the objective truth. He doesn't have a message. I thought during his RNC speech, which was also pretty crazy, not quite as crazy as he was last night, but I thought during his RNC speech, and 500 people watching, by the way, we have 314 likes. So please, please, please press that like button. I want to thank, just got $50 in the GoFundMe from Tammy, $20 from Kelly. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We're at $122,233 raised in the GoFundMe. We'll take it in the GoFundMe. We'll take it on the special fundraising page we created. Like I said, if you came to this late, Jen will be live shortly from the San Diego area, where she will be interviewing a member of the Kumeyaay Nation, a Native American tribe that is on the front lines battling Trump's border wall that is being built on top of their ancestors' sacred burial ground. You think Trump or the Border Control or ICE consulted with this native tribe before they desecrated their lands where their ancestors are buried? Of course not. So we will be on the ground covering that. Jen is on her way right now. So I think when you couple, somebody said, am I the only one that thinks Trump's won the debate? G-Rep, I don't know what your argument for Trump winning the debate is. You'd have to tell me. I don't know how anyone could watch that and think he won. He was a rambling maniac. And frankly, the demographic that Trump has lost the most is women. He has lost a pretty big chunk of college-educated women from 2016. Now, I'm not saying this to say that men would be happy with the way Trump was acting, but obviously, just human psychology, women tend to be a little bit more influenced by, your behavior, your mannerisms, that kind of thing. The way Trump acted last night is going to be a complete deal breaker for a lot of women. CNN, which usually their little focus groups, to me, are a joke. They actually had somebody on last night. They had a focus group of, I think, like 7 to 10 people. And one of the women, I think what she said is very similar to what a lot of women were thinking. I like a lot of the things Trump was saying, but just the way he carried on, it's really swinging me to the other side. Because they don't just vote on policy, they vote based on the demeanor of the candidate. Gina Gal, $10. Trump acted like a bully. I think he wanted to dominate and confuse Biden. I'm not a fan of Biden, but I actually felt sorry for him. But the thing is, Biden, you don't need to confuse Biden. He's confused. He's already confused. But he might have been trying to confuse Biden, but in reality what he did was just piss off the entire American people and audience, to the point where I wouldn't be shocked if the second debate has record low ratings for a presidential debate. It would shock me if I could see the audience dipping 30 to 40% from the first debate, possibly 50%. So that's why I made this headline, Prepare for President Biden, because Trump, honestly, I keep saying if the election were held today, it looks like Biden would win. Trump's final chance and his best chance were these debates. Well, go through the history. The first debate is always the highest rated debate of the 3 presidential debates. That was the first debate. Trump bombed. He bombed the debate. I don't know what other way to say it. That's not because I think Joe Biden is so great. I think Joe Biden came out flat. I don't think he proposed anything to the American people other than I'm a nice guy. I believe in civility. I'm still not going to give you health care. I'm still not going to raise your wages. I'm still not going to give you a Green New Deal. I'm still going to take the money from the fossil fuckers, the big bankers, big pharma, Silicon Valley, big real estate, the military-industrial complex. The Democratic Party is not going to change a goddamn thing under me. We're going to be just as corrupt, but we're going to do it in the back room, like the good old days. We're not going to be so out front corrupt, and we will make the deals in the back room. So, this is not to say Joe Biden did a good job, but this isn't about Joe Biden. If you saw Donald Trump, he openly is telling white supremacists, yeah, stand back. Wait a while. He openly told his supporters, show up on election day to monitor things. You know who monitors things at polling sites? Mexican drug cartels monitor things at polling sites. Go watch Narcos or El Chapo. I happen to love Mexican drug cartel shows. Yeah, they monitor things at polling places, i.e. intimidate people from voting. And the bottom line is, and frankly, I don't want to get too in-depth on this because I love my father. You know, I don't hide it. My dad loves Trump. I've accepted it, and I'm not going to disown my father. I love him. I just disagree with him. But I messaged him today, and I said, you know, I really hope you watched that debate and paid attention closely because, you know, you're an adult. Vote however you want. But this man is openly, it's not even dog whistling anymore. He is blaring a siren, basically saying, when asked flat out, do you condemn or disavow white supremacy groups? He said, he played dumb. Oh, what do you want me to condemn? Just say the name, I'll condemn it. And he's doing what he always does, which is he gives basically a wink and a nod to these groups. There's widespread outrage. And then the next day or two, there's cleanup. Here's his campaign advisor, Jason Miller, on Meet the Press Daily. He said, oh, what Trump actually meant by stand by was stand by the wayside, get out of the way of law enforcement. Oh yeah, that's what he meant. And then Trump, just recently, within the last hour or so, this is.
I don't know who the Proud Boys are. I mean, you'll have to give me a definition because I really don't know who they are. I don't know who the Proud Boys are. I mean, you'll have to give me a definition because I really don't know who they are. I can only say they have to stand down, let law enforcement do their work. Law enforcement will do the work more and more.
Yeah, just like he didn't know who the KKK was in 2016 when he was running. Just like he didn't know who David Duke was. No, I'm running for president. I don't know who the KKK is. I don't know who David Duke is. I don't know who the Proud Boys are, who just had a major quasi-Klan rally in Portland that we covered. I have no idea. My FBI says white supremacy groups, including the Proud Boys, are the biggest terrorist threat in America, more so than terrorists, like jihadist groups. But I don't know who they are. This is why I'm saying Biden, other than Obama, who was always, remember, Obama, people always said, is the luckiest son of a gun. He got to face McCain, then he got to face Romney. He really never had a serious challenger for the presidency. Can you think of anyone luckier than Joe Biden who has sleepwalked his way through this campaign, who's literally going around telling donors nothing's going to change, Wall Street people, literally telling corporate America has to change its ways, it's not going to require legislation because I ain't proposing any? This is what he told donors a few weeks ago. Corporate America has to change its ways. It's not going to require legislation. I'm not proposing any. We got to think about how we deal people back in. Whatever the fuck that means. If Biden were running against Marco Rubio would win. If Biden were running against Mitt Romney would win. If Biden were running against Ted Cruz, I think Ted Cruz would win. If Biden were running against Paul Ryan would win. If Biden were running against, just honestly, I think if Biden were running against Mike Pence, it's very likely Pence would win. But Donald Trump is on some type of political kamikaze mission. And the devil's advocate could say, well, Jordan, you might say to me, Jordan, yeah, Trump was a disaster last night, a disgrace, but he's speaking directly to his base. He's trying to rev up his base so that every single person in his base comes out. And if it comes down to whose base is going to come out more than the other, then Trump might have a chance because Biden isn't doing so hot among Latinos. Younger black voters might not come out for Biden like they didn't for Hillary. But here's the difference. 10% of Obama voters switched to Trump. So those people voted for Barack Obama at least once. There's also independent voters. So it's not enough for Trump just to stoke his base and let them beat their chest and be excited about him. He needs to keep those Obama voters that switched to him. He needs to keep most of those people. He also needs to pick off some of the independent voters. I don't think he's keeping them. I think last night he's repelling them. Absolutely repelling. And I got to tell you something. I don't tell people how to vote. You vote however you want. But progressive movement right now really needs to start thinking, in my opinion, more strategically, not morally. What do I mean by that? Who would you rather fight? Who would you rather be fighting for the next 4 years? Possibly less if either of them croak. Would you rather be fighting Donald Trump and the Proud Boys? Or would you rather be fighting Joe Biden and Neera Tanden? Would you rather be fighting Donald Trump and white militiamen and the Kyle Rittenhouses of the world and all these people? Or would you rather be fighting Joe Biden and the K-Hive? Because that's really what this comes down to. I'm not talking about a lesser of two evils. I'm not telling you to vote for Biden. But what I'm saying is Donald Trump has now shown you, he has openly told his voters and his supporters to go monitor the elections. That is fascism. What he's talking about is fascism. Donald Trump is openly emboldening white supremacists. I can't diminish that. I think neoliberalism is, I talk about the Democratic Party all day long. I think neoliberalism is cancer. But fascism's worse. Fascism is worse. And if I have a choice, strategically, who I think I could beat, I think I could beat Joe Biden and a breaking down Democratic Party much easier than I can and embolden Donald Trump with 4 more years to do God knows what. To do God knows what. I think Trump lost the election last night. You might disagree. I think the polls over the next 5 to 7 days are going to show him dramatically, the gap widening even further. I think Joe Biden is terrible too. This isn't an endorsement of Joe Biden. I'm not excited about Joe Biden. But Joe Biden wasn't telling his supporters to go monitor the elections. Joe Biden wasn't, ignoring and not giving a straight answer, do you disavow white supremacists? Joe Biden's policies are hella racist. But I have to just be straight with you. I can't try and equivocate and make it seem like those two things are equal. They're not. Donald Trump last night was blaring the megaphone for fascism. Straight up. It's crystal clear. And if you don't see that, you're intentionally choosing not to see that. separate from Trump, I gotta be honest with you. I don't think Joe Biden is going to be president for 4 years. The bar has been set so low for him that last night was considered a good performance. I think if Joe Biden were facing anyone other than Donald Trump, most people would be saying he was super flat. Some of his statements didn't make any sense. He didn't offer anything. There's no substance. There's no policy. And, nobody would be talking in excitement about Joe Biden's performance. I think Joe Biden's extremely lucky. But Joe Biden clearly, to me, looks like somebody who kind of on his last legs politically. He's not, there's no, I don't want to say energy because I don't want to sound like Trump. He's not cognitively like he used to be. And to me, I think Joe Biden's presidency, he says, I am the Democratic Party. I think last night, if you look at Joe Biden's performance, what you're going to see is he's going to be having his strings pulled by the K-Hive, Kamala Harris, by the Chamber of Commerce, which is now moving over to the Democratic Party, by the banks, by the fossil fuckers, by all of the usual suspects that are part of the United Corporations of America. He's not, when Trump says they're not bringing their best, Joe Biden certainly didn't bring his best either. But I'm just being honest with you. Objectively, watching that debate, Donald Trump, the problem with his performance, like I said, you can be bombastic, you could be bonkers, you could act totally over the top, totally disrespectful, totally outrageous. But that only works if you have a really, really good, sharp message. In 2016, he did. It was NAFTA. It was TPP. She's part of the establishment. She's part of the oligarchy. She's going to do the bank's bidding. I'm bringing your jobs back. Last night was essentially best of Fox News conspiracy theories, Qanon conspiracy theories, Biden's a socialist Trojan horse, just shit that nobody with a brain believes. So those are my thoughts. I think that's what happened. I think really what's going to swing this election fully over to Biden is that 10% of Obama voters that switched to Trump. I think a lot of them are coming back to Biden. So I'll leave it to you. You vote for whoever you want. I ain't telling you who to vote for. But I think last night Donald Trump, cemented his position as a one-term president. Tell me why I'm wrong. Leave it in the super chat. What am I missing? What am I missing? And as a reminder, definitely, Jen's going to be live soon. Please, if you can, chip in to her reporting trip. Also, if you're new to this channel, subscribe to this channel. Right there, press the subscribe button, click all notifications, all those good things. So, nothing will fundamentally change equals Biden. I agree. To be clear, because I think sometimes on YouTube people lose something called nuance. This is not an endorsement of Joe Biden. I don't like Joe Biden. I'm personally, I am not going to vote for Joe Biden. But that's because I live in New York. If I lived in a swing state where it mattered, I might be more likely to vote for Biden. I'm just being honest with you. You can vote whoever you want. I'm telling you about me. I think we already live in a fascist country. But there's different forms of fascism. We live in a corporate fascist country. We live in a corporate fascist state. What I don't want to see is our corporate fascism move to full-fledged fascism. And what Donald Trump is talking about, winking and nodding to white supremacists, telling his supporters show up and monitor elections, is a very, very slippery slope to full-blown fascism. It is. So, good thing our votes don't count, Andy says. That's true. So it's just rules for 3 and not for me. And that's what I'll tell my liberal. All right, I don't get that. Why not vote Biden regardless? Because if I don't have to vote for him, I'm not going to vote for a corporatist tool. That's why. I go around the country. Millions of people don't have health care. Millions more are growing homeless, more and more homeless by the day. The planet is being destroyed because of Joe Biden's donors. And yeah, I'm not going to vote for him if I don't have to. And in New York, I don't have to. That's why. If I lived in Ohio or Michigan or Wisconsin, I probably would. At this point, I probably would. There has to be a landslide victory for Trump to be defeated. Do it for your black and brown brothers and sisters. Jojo, I don't really know. I don't really know what that means. I mean, me voting for Joe Biden in New York doesn't produce any more of a landslide because New York is going for Biden. So I don't really know like why me not voting for Biden would result in Biden not winning by a landslide. So that's just my opinion. Jordan is voting with his dad for Trump. Okay, D. Lawrence, I'm not voting for Trump. You couldn't pay me enough money to vote for Trump. But if you want to spread the rumorville, that's up to you. Vicky, again, Jordan, you learned nothing new about Trump last night. Vicky Blair, what I think you're missing is it's not about what I learned about Trump or what the masses learned about Trump. It's about the small demographic of voters that Trump had to convince to either stay with him or switch to him. Okay? So those people were swayable if Trump would have come off like the president, would have come off like he's got a plan for the future, would have come off like, oh no, with coronavirus, I've got it under control, would have actually coherently slammed Biden and made him into the same thing he made Hillary into, a tool of the establishment, an offshore of their jobs, a globalizer who's going to sell you to Mexico and China in the form of your jobs. He didn't do that. So this isn't about learning something new about Donald Trump. This is about Donald Trump did not do what he needed to do to keep that 10% of Obama voters that switched to him. I don't think they're going to stay with Donald Trump. And to convince the amount of independent voters he needed to convince to stay with him. And to get women who voted for him last time, who are now flocking to Biden, to reconsider. That's what he needed to do last night. He didn't do it because he had no message. It was all over the place. So you don't have to agree with me, but that's what I saw. Darren Aleve, £5. Biden has supported neo-Nazis in Ukraine. He is worse than Trump, and policy-wise, he will be worse than Trump. Yeah, I just don't agree with what you're saying. I truly don't believe, and again, this is not me supporting Joe Biden. I hope you understand this, but I'm always going to be honest. I don't understand how you could say somebody who is literally playing dumb about white supremacists, who will not denounce it, who is literally telling his supporters, go monitor the polling booths, how you could say that's worse than a dime a dozen corporatist. I just don't agree with that. They're both bad, but you have to objectively look at something and say, hey, is the guy propping up neo-Nazis good or worse than the bought-off corporatist? Yeah. Joe Biden propped up neo-Nazis in Ukraine just like all the Republicans and Democrats did. But Joe Biden is not telling the Proud Boys to go monitor the election booth. So this isn't about, oh, Joe Biden, where I'm praising Joe Biden by pointing out. This is about, you have two awful candidates, two awful solutions, but one is literally basically telling the white supremacists, yeah, go bring the tiki torches. I don't know how you could objectively tell me that's better than just like a sleepwalking corporatist warmonger. And again, this is from someone who's saying, I'm not telling you to vote for, if you don't want to vote for Joe Biden, God bless you. Nobody's telling you how to vote. But I'm also not going to censor myself for fear of like losing subscribers or pissing people off. Anyone objectively telling you that Biden is worse than Trump after last night is objectively crazy. That's the truth. If you don't like it, that's fine. That's so sad, Jordan. What about the rest of the world? Cheryl Simpson. I don't know the context of what you're saying, but okay. Rally and fight, don't vote. Vicky, that was my impression. Trump supporters are not leaving him. Get over it. Again, you're not listening to what I'm saying. This is not about Trump supporters. Yes, Trump supporters, his base, that 38 to 40%, they're with him no matter what. But part of his base is a portion of people who voted for Obama in 2008 and 2012 that then switched to Donald Trump. That portion won him Michigan. Without those Obama voters that switched to Trump, he wouldn't have won Michigan. So it's not about Trump's base. He needs to keep those Obama voters that switched to him. Those voters that sometimes they vote Democrats, sometimes they vote Republican. I think what he did last night was push them away. Because these types of voters are generally neoliberal, generally like the establishment. That's why they voted for Obama in the first place. And they moved over to Trump only because, all right, I have more conservative views, and this guy sounds like a populist, so I like it. So it's not about losing his base. He's not going to lose his base. He literally can shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and it wouldn't matter. What he needs to do is keep the swing groups, the mini demographics that won him the election. He needs to keep those Obama to Trump voters. He needs to keep a high enough portion of college-educated women who, starting in the 2008 midterms, were fleeing the Republican Party because of what you saw last night. So I don't know what people are watching. I think people are so stuck on hating the Democratic Party. I do too. But two things can be true, folks. Like, by just pointing out the obvious, Trump is not even dog whistling. He's blaring sirens for white supremacists to possibly be violent. That's not saying Joe Biden is wonderful and all rush to vote for Joe Biden. I think because of YouTube and, frankly, certain personalities that it's just complete black and white. It's complete ranting and raving and extremism. There's a lot of viewers who are drinking that Kool-Aid and acting that way. If I'm saying this about Trump, it's not because I support Joe Biden. It's not because I think Joe Biden's running a good campaign. It's not because I think he would be a good president. I don't. But we can't, as progressives, sit here and pretend that what we just saw on the debate stage last night were two equals, that both are bad equally. Joe Biden has produced racist policy. But there's a difference between racist policy and literally fanning the flames for white supremacists to come out and commit violence. Racist policy has been the markings of America, Republican and Democratic Party, for the last, since the beginning of America. But there's different forms of racism, just like there's different forms of fascism. And if you don't understand that Donald Trump, who his supporters are true believers, telling them to, stand back. You need to monitor the situation. Go to the polls, monitor things. I'm sorry, as bad as Joe Biden is, he's not doing that. So, if people don't like my opinion, so be it. I don't really care. There's plenty of people on YouTube who preach to the choir, say whatever the hell they have to say to grow their subscriber base, even if they don't mean it. I happen to know some of them. I'm not going to do that. Even if I lose subscribers, members, so be it. There's no price for integrity. I say, you vote for whoever you want. I don't think it's my role as a journalist to tell you who to vote for. I could only tell you what I saw last night. I think Trump lost the election. I think what he is doing is how authoritarian fascist countries begin. They begin with economic despair, which we have. They begin with economic despair turning to economic outrage. And when you have economic outrage, groups turn on minorities, whether it's the Jews, whether it's the blacks, the Muslims, the browns. And I think what Donald Trump did last night is openly, and by the way, my fiance does this for a living, monitoring white supremacist groups, okay? You should have seen Proud Boys, Three Percenters, other white supremacist groups online last night. Neo-Nazi groups. It was like an early fucking Christmas for them. They were euphoric at the things Trump was saying and doing. So, if you're going to give me an option between a new race war versus a corporatist warmonger, I'm going to take the corporatist warmonger. That's just me. Because in terms of the progressive movement and how we build to actually seize power, I got to tell you, if I have a choice between who I'm going to fight, it's going to be the corporatist warmonger. That's an enemy I know and I've been fighting. Fighting Donald Trump and the Proud Boys and neo-Nazi groups and the Kyle Rittenhouses, it's a fight I don't want. And we shouldn't want as a country. Okay, with that said, we got 580 people watching. A few housekeeping notes before I go. Reminder, Jen is going to be live from San Diego, California shortly. So make sure that you are on our text list because YouTube doesn't like to notify you when we're live. Now do they? If you join our text list, text COUP to 370-370. That's COUP to 370-370. You'll get a text message when we're live. Jen is going to be live shortly down near the border, Trump's magical, beautiful wall. She's going to be interviewing Native Americans from the Kumeyaay Nation who have been battling the Trump administration and Border Patrol, protesting for the last few months because Trump is building his totally bullshit wall that Mexico is not going to pay for right on top of where their ancestors are buried. And let me tell you something. I went to Standing Rock in 2016 and 2017. I froze my little tushy out there. This is exactly what happened at Standing Rock and exactly what happens all over this country with Native Americans. Where the United States government, there are laws that the U.S. has to consult with Native American tribes before major infrastructure projects that could affect their water, that could affect their wildlife, that could affect their air, or burial grounds where their ancestors are buried. Would you like it if a giant wall was built on top of your mother or father or grandfather's grave? I don't think so. The Trump administration did not consult. And the Kumeyaay Nation woke up one day and just saw construction on their land. That is outrageous. And that's why we are spending the time and resources, because this is expensive to travel all around the country and cover these stories. That's why we are spending the time and resources to cover this important story. So please, if you can, I just put the link in the super chat, statuscoup.com/West Coast. That's statuscoup.com/West Coast. And definitely check out the photos that Jen's been posting from her reporting trip. And also, if you can, chip in. Can I see your shirt that I could advertise?
Oh, you mean the beautiful sweatshirt?
Yes.
That arrived
And
as an
also,
early birthday present for me.
make sure you get to the Status Coup merchandise store. Look at that brand new long sleeve for the ladies.
Yes.
Status Coup long sleeve shirt for our female viewers.
It's actually a sweatshirt.
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 Excuse me. Can't wait to see you wear that. And you can get your brand new Status Coup shirt, Status Coup hat, and all those things. DJ MCG, let the sellout begin. Here we go.
Said by someone who has no conception.
Here
of
we
the
go.
severity
Here we go.
of,
Here we
white
go.
supremacists and neo-Nazis.
This is the problem. This is the problem with, to me, this is the problem with the progressive movement, and this is the problem with particularly the online left. If you don't breathe, if your fire doesn't breathe as fiery out of your mouth as theirs, sell out. If you don't share their opinion 100% of the time, sell out. Look in the dictionary for the word nuance, whoever just said that.
That was me.
If you think that I and Status Coup are sellouts for literally calling out blinking red light white supremacy, if you think that we are sellouts for calling out a president who is openly telling armed supporters to go monitor polling stations, not only are you a sellout to actual progressive beliefs, but you're an idiot, and I don't care if you watch. Maybe that's not so PC of me to say, because obviously viewers could have different opinions, but if you are so small-minded and so politically naive to believe that you're selling out by calling out white supremacy, then everyone should be sellouts. And as a Jew, I really wish there were more Americans in the 1930s and 40s that were sellouts, that spoke up and demanded that we step in to the horrors of Adolf Hitler. I don't think Trump's quite there yet, but what I do think is the shit that we saw coming out of his mouth last night is not even a wink and a nod. It's a direct message to deranged white supremacists to be violent if necessary to keep him in power. And if that's okay with you as a progressive, or you claim to be a progressive, if me saying no, Trump and Biden, last night in particular, are not equal, that is not equal, and Biden is a corporate warmonger, no mistaking it. Unlike the Young Turks, I don't ignore that. I'm still going to cover Biden critically. I'm not taking the next month and a half off from exposing Joe Biden's corruption, lack of policy, lack of actual populist progressivism for the crisis we're in. No. Joe Biden is a corrupt Republican. This is not supporting Joe Biden or selling out. Selling out is literally, in my opinion, being like other independent outlets who basically send out fundraising emails trying to get you to vote for Joe Biden. I've seen that from the Young Turks. Selling out is literally just tuning out any bad news of Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, is essentially being a cooler MSNBC or an arm, a coked out version of MSNBC. I ain't selling out, but I'm not going to, I can't just close my eyes and bury my head in the sand at what I saw last night. So if you think that's a sellout, you're a fucking idiot. And you should, if that is selling out to you, then go watch whatever channel equates Trump and Biden as the same. It's not the same. And by the way, if you think for a second that when Joe Biden becomes president, if he becomes president, like, I'm going to be doing jumping jacks, hell no. I mean, my fiance and I have talked about this. I've told her straight up, yeah, no, I don't see it exactly the same way as you, because I know we already live in a fascist country, and Joe Biden is part of that. But there's different degrees. There's corporate fascism, and then there's straight up, this train has left the gas station here, or this train has left the station, authoritarian dictator fascism. And that's what we saw last night. And I got news for you, folks. I got news for you. Jen would know a little bit more about this than I, because she studies psychology. I don't think Trump is just a sociopath. I think he's a full-fledged psychopath. I think he has massive delusions of grandeur. I think he might borderline have different personalities. And I think if given 4 more years, do you think a 6-3 Supreme Court, you think Trump's joking about more than 2 terms? Do you think he's joking? Anywho, don't want to get too worked up because I have a long night of packing. I am moving tomorrow. So thank you for watching. And I will never sell out. You have my word. Definitely stick around. I'm closing down this live stream, but Jen is going to be live in a little bit. Like I said, Like I said, join our text list. Text COUP to 370-370. That's COUP to 370-370. I will see you not tomorrow, probably not the next day because I'm moving in and got to set up my internet and all those things. So I should be back this weekend, Sunday, likely. Thank you for watching. See you later. Oh, I forgot. One last time. Support Jen's reporting trip. And if you're not a Status Coup member, what the hell are you doing? Sign up. StatusCout.com/join. Join us for $5 a month. It's how we grow for the long term. Peace out.